Now that most of the bed is done, in part 6 of the Loft Bed series, I'm going to build this ladder. Let's get to it. First up is to plane down these two long pieces of poplar. The longer one will be used for both legs on the ladder, and the shorter one will be cut down for the rungs. At my super elaborate miter station, I cut the piece for the legs down to its final length. Anyone could easily cut this board with a sliding miter saw, but it takes true skill to flip the board over and perfectly line up your cut. Before ripping the board into two legs, I pulled out the router and made 5 dados for the rungs of the ladder. Putting these in before ripping the board ensures my dados on each leg of the ladder will line up perfectly. Finally, it was time to rip the board into 2 separate pieces and trim them to their final width. If you want to see more of my projects and follow along with what I'm currently working on, make sure to check me out on Instagram, where I try to post daily updates of my projects. I decided to round over the top of the ladder, so I clamped both legs together, double and triple checking that I was about to cut the correct end of each leg. Using a can, I drew a curve and rough cut it using a jigsaw. Then I came back and cleaned it up with a sander. Now it was time to make the rungs for the ladder. After ripping the board to its final width at the table saw, I headed back to my luxurious miter station to cut each board to length using my industrial-sized stop block. Finally, it was time to glue up all the pieces. To play it safe, I used Titebond 2 Extend glue that I had left over from gluing up the side rails. Titebond 2 Extend provides a 20 to 25 minute assembly time compared to the 10 to 15 minute assembly time for regular Titebond 2. As usual, I used way too much glue, and though I tried to get the squeeze out cleaned up, I still ran into issues when it came time to stain it. The rungs fit into the dados perfectly, and after getting all 5 lined up into the first leg of the ladder, I glued and attached the second leg using clamps to pull everything together. Once I have this ladder done, then all I have left is a few finishing touches along with a ton of sanding and staining. If you don't want to miss seeing how the bed turns out, then don't forget to scroll down below and click that subscribe button. After leaving everything to dry overnight, I pulled out the sander and cleaned up all the joints. Luckily, I had done some pre-sanding before assembly, so the final sanding was not too tedious. Once again, it was time to pull out the router. While trying not to strangle myself with the cord, I put a slight round over on all the outward-facing edges, leaving the back side of the ladder alone so that those edges would mount cleanly to the bed. The last thing to do was to add the hardware to mount the ladder to the side of the loft. I removed the top board from the foot of the bed, lined it up with the top of the ladder, and then drilled and countersunk holes for the bolts. Finally, it was just a matter of installing a few threaded inserts into the ladder, 4 at the top and 2 at the bottom, and then I could mount it to the end of the loft. Now that I've built and mounted the ladder, all I have left is a few final touches along with a whole lot of sanding and finishing. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to jump down below and click that like button. And if you want to watch any of my future videos, while you're down there you may want to hit the subscribe button. Until then, I'll be working in the shop and I'll catch you on the next video.